What's up, Internet? Welcome back to I think this is like the 4th episode of Catching Up. Claroos, that lady right there. This time we are going to be ranking the entire Fast and the Furious franchise because Fast 9 is coming tonight, technically.
Yeah.
The day that this is going to come public. So, yeah, let's get into that. My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Claroos.
We get nerdy nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
Claroos, prior to this adventure, you had never seen a Fast and the Furious movie.
No, I feel like such a cultured, well-learned member of society now.
Okay. I should make the joke. I actually love these movies. Like, I think they're really fun. I remember seeing the original Fast and the Furious movie in theaters, which I think not a lot of people can say.
Yeah.
That was back in 2001. We'll definitely talk about it. But for those of you at home, the way that we do this, because we did this for the DCE franchise,
Yes.
the way that we do this is we start from the beginning chronologically, and we rank. We will tell you our ranking. So our picture is going to slowly fill in as we go, and you'll get an idea of how we rank these movies, not in terms of like quality, but in terms of personal enjoyment.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if this were a channel where we were debating the, like, nitty-gritty of good filmmaking, I feel like that's not really us. It's kind of our opinions, what we like, why we like it, and what we don't like, and why we don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll hear as I talk about these, for the most part, I talk about why I enjoy watching them, or maybe they're not my favorite one to put on. Because I do like all these movies, and I like this franchise quite a bit. Although we'll talk about Fast 8 and what I'm worried about in Fast 9.
Well,
At the end, that's a tease.
Yes. I just realized I was supposed to put Hobbs and Shaw in there somewhere, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna think about that for about
It's the last one, so you
4
have
seconds.
time.
That's true.
Chronologically, you have time to figure that out.
That's true, and it's not number 1, so.
All right. That's interesting. Because you really liked it when we watched it. Let's get into this. The first movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise, The Fast and the Furious. This movie is directed by Rob Cohen and was released in the summer of 2001. It was a different time. This is interestingly pre 9/11.
Oh, wow.
And I only bring that up because I feel like 9/11 changed a lot of entertainment for a long time. I mean, like, that was our childhood, you know, and it drastically changed the movie-going experience.
Yeah.
And it's just, it is interesting that there was this one movie in this franchise before. It really is a before and after moment in life, right?
Yeah.
But this was just before that. The film was made for, I think, I have it here. The film was made for just $38 million, which is not that much.
Wow, especially with the cars they have.
Yeah. And it grossed $40 million on its opening weekend, racked $144 million domestic and $206 million internationally in its original run. So this movie was a hit. Like, this movie was a genuine bona fide hit. Where does it rank for you?
So for me, actually, and when we talked about our rankings a couple weeks ago in preparation for this, I think it's changed. I have actually put it in the number 2 slot.
Really?
Yeah.
That is fascinating because it is in my number 2 slot.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I really appreciate this film. It is very much of its time. And if you watch it with like a modern eye, I think that you're going to be disappointed. But if you watch it as a period piece and you watch it as like a snapshot of a moment in human history, it really is like a depiction of a certain culture at a certain time.
Absolutely.
And I think that it does that really well.
And that's why I kind of changed my ranking, actually, and made it higher up on the list, because it's not really my kind of movie, but I have a lot of appreciation for it, even though there's some cringy stuff in there that I'm not a huge fan of. I see what they were trying to do, and I can appreciate that it was a very specific depiction of a culture and a thing that someone clearly has a passion and deep love for. And I feel like that's why this movie kind of got boosted up the rankings, because you can feel that care.
Yeah, and I also just think that the movie it is an introduction to some people who became huge stars. Like this really was the moment where Paul Walker became a star.
Totally.
Vin Diesel had, people knew who Vin Diesel was already. This wasn't his like first big thing, but this was really this was the moment Paul Walker became Paul Walker.
Yeah.
The most generic white guy name, but honestly, like, well, but seriously, but like,
yeah,
when you
true.
think of Paul Walker, that's who you think of. Like, those stunning blue eyes and blonde curls looking through the car window, like it's such an iconic shot now.
Yeah.
I also just think that like it introduced us to a world of really interesting female characters. I think Michelle Rodriguez, even in the first movie, is given a lot more to do than I think a lot of female characters at the time were.
Yeah.
And is allowed to be like the romantic partner to the male lead while also having a lot of like physical strength and a lot of like, she's not the like doting wife who's left at home when they go do the crimes.
No.
She's there doing the crimes. And for the time and for even now, you still see those trends and those tropes. I think that it's really interesting that she gets to be a part of it. In this kind of a story, and I've always had an affinity for her character and for the way they handled her in the first movie. There's definitely missteps with Letty throughout the franchise, in my opinion. They fridge her pretty hard later on, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, this is my second favorite. I just think it's a good movie, and honestly, it's also just it's when the Fast franchise was a little bit more realistic, and like I like the grounded, down to earth.
Yep, me too.
Street racing and like not real street racing. Like the NOS is ridiculous, but like this where the street racing matters. Where the nice thing about this movie is the most important moment in these characters' lives is 9 seconds from race line to race line, and that kind of like real passion, that kind of like real connection to what you're doing, gets kind of lost later on.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But they don't, that the first movie really is like these 9 seconds are the most important 9 seconds of these people's lives, and that's fun to watch. It's really endearing.
Yep, I agree.
All right, well, I think that one's easy. I feel like the second movie is a little bit harder. All right, second movie in this one, aptly named. We all know the jokes of Too Fast, Too Furious, with the twos being literal twos in the title. This movie starred Paul Walker and not Vin Diesel. Replacing Vin Diesel was Tyrese Gibson, who has been a mainstay in the franchise almost ever since. Obviously, he missed out on episode 3, but Tyrese
but he
and
comes
episode
back.
4. He's on episode 4.
Right. But he definitely brings something to the later movies, which is really nice.
This one was budgeted at $76 million, doubling the original movie's budget, and had a box office of $236 million. That is, I think that's international. Yeah, its opening weekend domestically was $50 million. Okay. So it was made for double the amount of money, but only made $36 million more. Interesting. I think that might be a tone shift. A lot of what I think made the first movie successful wasn't brought into the second movie. The second movie is very much an action comedy.
Yes.
And before we give our rankings, I just wanted to say this movie was directed by John Singleton, the incredible director. May he rest in peace. A really like iconic, visionary director. This is not his best film. If you want to watch some good movies, go watch some John Singleton films. And he recently passed away within the last couple of years, and just was a landmark director. But he did make Too Fast, Too Furious. Where did it land on your list?
For me, it is number 5.
Oh, that is so much higher than I thought.
Really? Okay. Look, here's the thing. When we were watching the movie, there were things about it that I just enjoyed because I was having a good time. But, like, my notes are, like, nothing special. It's a generic kind of car action movie, and I think Paul Walker and Tyrese Gibson are great in it. And that's also the one with...
Eva Mendes.
Yeah. And so, there's some good people in it, but I just... it's nothing special.
Yeah, I mean, look, everything I said about how I feel like Letty was an interesting female character in the one before this, Eva Mendes just is the tropiest of tropey, like, female agent who's undercover. They lean so hard into that. This one is my second from the bottom. So it's 9 total films, right? So this is in 7th place for me. And it's not that it's bad. Like, I love all these movies, but of the movies, this one leans the most into the camp.
Sure.
And it leads and it just leans more into tropes than the others. And the comedy of Brian and Tyrese's character. I love these movies. I can't remember his name. I just think of him as Tyrese Gibson.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either.
Yeah, no, I do find it interesting. But yeah, I don't love this one. Literally, they jump the car onto the boat at the end. Like, if anything tells you what this movie is, they jump the car onto the boat at the end, and that's just kind of the epitome of what it is.
Yeah, for me, I think the reason that it ranks a little bit higher for you is because, especially in the later... Sorry, then... Wait, what did I say?
For me.
Oh,
it ranks low for me.
Yeah. It's you have an easier time looking past the ridiculousness of some of the later movies, and
I enjoy the stunts more than you do.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, when things look insane in a completely impossible way, it pulls me out of it. And so that's why I think, like, if I were to put on a Fast and Furious movie, this one might actually, like, it ranks a bit higher for me than some of the later movies.
It's interesting to me because I feel like this is more ridiculous in a lot of ways. In terms of, like,
fun
plotting.
And campy. It's fun and campy, whereas the later ones take themselves so seriously. All the guys are like, we're doing the guy muscly thing, and we're doing the flippies, and I can't get hurt. And
see, I find that funny.
Sure.
Like, I enjoy like the stereotype of masculinity that they're portraying in the film. Mm-hmm. I find humorous.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, sitting there being like, yeah, I want to be like that.
No,
I have literally no desire to be like that. But I do think it is funny to watch.
Yeah.
And, when they're literally making fun of each other for having too many muscles, I do enjoy that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I enjoy that more than I think I enjoy the, like, the humor of 2. Which sometimes feels like it is undercutting how serious the situation they're actually in is.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, you guys might die. Like, they literally eject people out the passenger side of their cars, and they're like, oh, that was great. And I'm like, you just... Yeah. That is the first time either of you has murdered somebody.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I just realized that if I am including Hobbs and Shaw in this list, which I forgot to do, this one would actually rank 6.
Okay, so Hobbs and Shaw is above this.
Hobbs and Shaw would be above this. It's not above the first one. That one still ranks at number 2 for me. But Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw is higher up on the list. So I'm just gonna bump my
everything
ratings down a little bit. Yeah,
that is fair. All right, let's get into the 7th movie in the franchise. Mm-hmm. Which is the 3rd movie in the franchise. This is the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Mm-hmm. This one is interesting.
Oh, it sure is.
Because they later decided to make it the 7th movie, it gets real confusing in terms of, like, technology.
Yeah. And
in terms of, like, time period, and clothing. Because when this movie was made, this movie came out in 2006. So this was a little bit after the first movie, 5 years. This budget was $85 million, so this was actually even a bigger budget than Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oof.
However, the opening weekend for Tokyo Drift was only $23 million. And it only grossed $62 million domestically, which is $20 million less than its budget, over $20 million, and $157. So it didn't even double its budget, which means this movie definitely lost money, right? Mm-hmm. And The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is a cult movie that is beloved now. There are a lot of people for whom this is their favorite Fast and the Furious movie.
Why? Why?
There are a lot of people who really, really love Tokyo Drift. And so...
I'm sorry, it's my least favorite.
Yep, this one's the bottom of the barrel for you.
Yeah, it's very bottom of the barrel, which is really unfortunate because, like I've told you before, Tokyo Drift is the most interesting to me in terms of the car stuff and the
driving. You like the driving?
Yeah, the driving.
The drifting.
Yes, the drifting is cool. I really like what they did with it. I thought it was infinitely more interesting than pressing a button and making a car go. Like, I thought that the idea of the drifting and having that as the focus of the driving was great. But the story is just so bad that it's really hard. Like, I can't rank it higher because watching it hurts me.
It is interesting because this is the first movie that Justin Lin directs in the franchise. And Justin Lin directs a lot of these movies and saved this franchise by making the next few like really pop and make a lot of money. But this is the one that feels the best directed but the worst written.
Yes,
and so like it's shot really well. Like
yes.
it really reads as like the studio gave Justin Lin the script and was like, this is what you have to shoot. And he was like, all right, well, I'm going to make it look great.
Yeah,
it's going to look awesome.
The fault of the movie definitely lies in the script and also in your lead. I'm sorry, but you are not 17 years old.
He's back in 9.
35.
Lucas Black, who plays the lead guy in this movie.
Like how...
he plays Sean Boswell. He returns for Fast 9.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, how old is he?
Here's the thing, I don't know, right? Because here's what's really weird about this. The movie technically takes place in 2000 and... Well, it takes place after, like, Furious 6, right?
Yeah.
So if Furious 6 comes out in 2013, then this movie has to come place in 2013. But what's really fascinating is they still have iPods.
Yeah.
And no one has an iPhone. There's no touchscreens anywhere. If you're in Japan post 2012... There's touchscreens.
Everything is.
It's just just so preposterous, but only because they like later did this whole thing with Han, and we'll get into Han and we'll get into the Han song of it all.
He is the best part of Tokyo Drift, other than the car stuff.
Oh, Han is great. Yeah. And it's really easy to see why they brought him back immediately after killing him.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah. He has the most screen presence for sure. That's Sung Kang, obviously. If you're watching this, if you care enough about Fast and Furious to watch us talk about it for an hour,
probably know.
You probably know who Sung Kang is. An incredible actor, an incredible eater, like a very talented chewer of foods. The man is always shoving food in his mouth in these movies.
Oh, in the movies. I thought you meant like he was like a professional like fast eater or something like that. Like I was like...
He was one of those Nathan's hot dog guys.
Yeah, I was like, what?
No. He's Han is and they bring it up with Gal Gadot's character.
He's always eating.
That he's a recovering smoker, and so he has an oral fixation, and I've always loved that about him. And even in the trailers, in Fast 9 trailers that have introduced him in, he's always eating. But this movie is actually it's out of 8. No, it's out of 9. Right, and so. Fast 2 is in 8th place, and so this is in 7th place for me.
This is 7th?
Yeah, I think this is I enjoy this movie more than I enjoy Too Fast, Too Furious and one other movie. Yeah, I like Tokyo Drift. It's not my favorite Fast and Furious movie. But it's not my least favorite. I enjoy this movie. I enjoy the driving. I enjoy Han's introduction a lot. I enjoy Tokyo as a setting. I like the cars.
Yeah.
I like the comedy in this one a lot. The comedy in this movie comes from the characters a lot more than it comes from like jokes.
Okay.
And so I've always appreciated that.
See, I would disagree with you on that one. I definitely didn't find the third one to be very funny for my taste.
Yeah. That's fair. I also just like Bow Wow in this. It's so funny to see him. I also like our relationships to this movie are very different, right? Because this movie came out when I was 15. Right. And so it's a different thing. Like I have a nostalgic remembering of this movie. I saw this movie opening night in the theater that I worked at. Like I remember I took the night off from the theater to be at the theater to watch this movie.
Yeah, and see it when I just watch it, all I see is cringe. So different experiences for sure.
But it's time to get into what I would call like the modern era.
Fast, Four Furious.
Four Fast, Four Furious. No, this one's just called Fast and Furious. There's no number.
Yep.
But this is where things kind of change, right? This is where Justin Lin returns. He's the first director to direct 2 movies in the franchise back to back. And he returns to sequelize the first Fast and Furious movie in a lot of ways. This is also the first movie that Vin Diesel has starred in since the first movie. He makes a cameo appearance in Tokyo Drift, but we have not actually seen him. This movie came out in 2009. So Vin Diesel wasn't actually a star of this franchise for 8 years between the first movie and the fourth movie.
Wow.
But Dom returns. He is trying to get revenge after Letty is killed at the beginning of the movie. And Paul Walker is on the case as well. We find out that Paul Walker was the reason that Letty was working the case.
Yeah, she
in
was
order
undercover. She was trying to clear Dom's name.
Yeah. And this guy Braga, this bad drug dealer man, got Letty killed.
Yes, I mean, if you're watching
Fast and
this,
Furious.
you know.
This series is a soap opera. I don't know if you know this.
Surprise!
But these are my stories. Can I go first this time?
Go for it.
This is my least favorite movie in the Fast franchise.
4 is your least favorite.
Yeah, I find it to be very dour.
It is.
And I don't. It's not that I like I said, I love all these movies. But if I was going to choose which one to go watch right now, it wouldn't be this one. Like, it's just the last one I would sit down and watch again.
It's dark.
It's dark and it's
no
a little bit
lightness.
slow.
Yeah.
That, like, the middle of the movie, there isn't really anything that happens. And also, for me, this franchise, after this, figured out that making the villains interesting made the movies better.
Yes.
And this movie, like, Braga, doing the whole bait and switch with Braga just isn't like a mystery, so it's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was like fun for a second. They're like, oh, surprise, and you're like, okay.
But they tell the audience about it.
Yeah.
The audience gets to learn about it before the characters, and then you get to watch the characters like, you watch the FBI mess up the case because they get cocky, and you're like, well,
yeah, you're like, what?
Like, it all hinges on this one. The one character is like, the recurring FBI guy. I can't remember his name, but he is like, wait for Brian's signal, and he's like, whatever, we don't need it.
Yeah, I'm like,
and you're
are
like,
you kidding? If you were in the FBI, you'd be fired for stuff like that. Like, you can't.
100%. Well, and then they
that.
blame Brian for it in the next scene, and you're like,
yeah.
It's on video.
You're like, dude, what? Like, you can't.
You were videotaping this. Like, we all know what happened. And so this movie for me is just the least fun. It's dark, but at the same time, it also is the start of the next series of films.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where the franchise has kind of gone since
it was
then.
like its metamorphosis.
Yeah, it was the cocoon between Tokyo Drift and Fast 5.
Yeah.
Where does this rank for you?
This one for me ranks 5th on the list.
Oh, wow. There are 4 movies below this.
Yep.
Tokyo Drift, Tokyo Drift, Too Fast and Furious, and one other one. I'm curious to find out. Let's talk about this. This movie was directed by Justin Lin, as I said. This movie was released in the spring of 2009. And it was budgeted at $85 million. So the exact same amount as Tokyo Drift. Its opening weekend was $70 million, the highest by far, and almost more than 3 times the opening weekend of Tokyo Drift. It ended up grossing $155 million in the US and $359 million worldwide. So this movie made money.
Yeah, they must have done some like really smart marketing for it.
People got really excited for Vin Diesel to come back.
Totally.
People wanted a sequel. Here's
good.
the thing. Here's the thing about this franchise, right? Like, the first one came out, people loved it. People really liked the Fast and the Furious. And then there was no sequel to it. They made 2 other movies that could have been scripts for any car franchise.
Yeah.
But they weren't Fast and the Furious movies. This one, they were like, this is Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the audiences flocked back, especially internationally. This started the trend of Fast and the Furious movies make money around the world. This is the first movie in the franchise. This movie made $155 million in the United States. It made $200 million internationally.
Wow.
And this is the first Fast and the Furious movie in the franchise. And this is going to become a trend, a somewhat worrying trend later on. We'll talk about that. But this is the first movie in the franchise where it made more money internationally than it did in the States. And we're going to see that happen. Actually, no, that's actually a lie. It actually, Tokyo Drift also technically made more money internationally. It was just a flop.
Right. Right.
This is the first successful one to do that. But yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It's fun. I wish I liked the villains more. because they build them up a lot. The guy who shot Letty and Braga, but they don't really do anything.
It kind of falls flat. Yeah.
Their plan at the end of the movie is just it's a little silly, and the driving through the tunnel is like fine.
Yeah.
All right, they literally drive through a tunnel. That's the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
And then Paul Walker, or no, Vin Diesel runs that guy through with a car.
Yeah.
Like fully cuts that man in half with a vehicle.
Yup.
But I'm sure he won't go to jail for that. Then everything changed.
Yep.
Then this franchise went from being a franchise that I really loved to a franchise that like everyone else seemed to love.
Beautiful butterfly.
And this was a weird transition for me because I was like the Fast and the Furious guy before this. And then suddenly it was like me and people who love cars. And I felt very weird with them because I don't know anything about cars.
Yeah.
But suddenly this franchise became something that everybody loved, right? Fast 5 changed the game. And a big part of that was this was at the time when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was becoming one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
He saved he brought like life to the second Journey to the Center of the Earth movie. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was considered to be a franchise saver because of that, and the fact that this movie made so much money. Fast 5 came out in 2011. It had its premiere in Rio de Janeiro, where the film is mostly set. It was budgeted at $125 million, about $40 million than the previous film. Its opening weekend was $86 million domestically. It grossed $10 million domestically, and it grossed
For the opening weekend.
No, total $210 million. Internationally, in its run, this movie made $630 million worldwide. It made double internationally what it made domestically. This movie was a hit. People freaking loved Fast 5.
Yeah.
And that is why it should not shock anyone that this is number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
This is the best Fast and the Furious movie.
I agree. Number 1 on the list. Hands down. It had a little bit of the darkness that 4 had, but not in a way that was unbearable. It was much better balanced. You had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who I think, like Sean in this movie, he is hilarious. Yeah. You know, he is so funny.
His partner Elena's really great.
Yeah, they're great.
And she
together.
has a really sympathetic storyline,
but
sure.
But isn't like a
pitiful.
heroine. Yeah.
Like you don't pity her for what's happened to her, but you appreciate that she like she loses her husband. He gets shot in the street before the movie. You don't see that, but you learn about it. And her response to that is to get to work, to like try and solve the problem and to be a good person in response to that. And I've always really, really loved her character. In terms of what you said about it being dark, but not overly, I think it also bringing back Tyrese Gibson and bringing back Ludacris being in the first movie. And I believe the second movie. Yeah, the first and second movie. Those two brought a comedic depth to this film that counterbalanced where Dom is at, because Dom is in a pretty dark place in this film, but there is they really expand the team. They also introduce Gal Gadot's character. Well, actually no, they introduced her in 4.
Right, because she's working for Braga.
Yeah, but she becomes a member, and this is the first time we're saying this of the whole podcast, but she becomes a member of the family.
Oh god.
In this movie, and we get to know her, and she starts her relationship with Han.
Yes.
Beautiful relationship with Han.
Honestly beautiful. Like, they are the sweetest.
The best, I will say it, the best relationship of the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yep.
They are the best couple.
Yep.
Sorry, Jordana Brewster. But
yeah, no, they are great together. They bring it. They're delightful.
Han and Gal Gadot, I can't remember her character's name, not getting a spin-off franchise where it's just them solving crimes internationally is
that's a crime.
Wonder Woman's great, but what we really needed was a Han Gal Gadot franchise.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, watching the two of them together as actors and as characters was so much fun. Like, they really brought it.
This film also famously has the vault driving scene.
That was it. That was what I wanted to bring up. That the ending scene, sequence, chase, whatever you want to call it, was great. It's really stood out to me. In film in general.
Well, because a lot of it's practical, and this is kind of like I said with the first movie, when this franchise is a little bit more grounded and when it takes place in a real world that I can wrap my head around, I really love it. Like, I really, really love it. And I get enraptured by the soap. And I know it's a soap opera, right? I know the relationships are ridiculous and there's all these ridiculous things. This is the movie where every character becomes a multi-millionaire and they ignore that for the rest of the franchise. They always seem a little bit down on their luck. They always seem like they're like, they never have enough money or whatever. And I'm like, you are all incredibly wealthy.
Yeah.
You're all so rich. But this is the film where things are grounded in a way that, like, I don't know. I just love this movie. Everything about it from beginning to end. The opening car stealing heist scene, bringing back the guy from the first movie and the way that his relationship weaves in and out of the family.
Yeah.
I really just think that this film, it's fantastic. And truly, like, this franchise has been coasting since this film a little bit.
Yep. I don't think they have brought it since.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, like, this is the peak, and they've keep bringing bigger stunts, but they're not bringing bigger heart and bigger, like, character development.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm missing lately. And we'll talk about the films as they go on from here, but, like, this was a movie where, like, how the characters felt about things really mattered.
Yeah.
Dom and the police officer, I want to actually get that actress name because she's so fantastic. And she comes back so many times. Gal Gadot plays Giselle. Elsa Pataki, or Pataki, I know I'm pronouncing that name wrong. She plays Elena. And she is so fantastic. But the scene where he goes to her house to get the cross, the necklace, is just such a beautiful, really, really just such a beautiful scene, in my opinion. And the acting in that scene, it's a character moment. There's no action. It's just like a real human moment. You know what I mean? And I like when these movies have those.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the best ones. I really, really think this movie's just hands down the best movie in this franchise.
Yeah. I agree.
But Elena and Dom could not be happy for long, because a couple of years later, 2013, Fast and Furious 6. If you understand the naming convention of this franchise, please let us know, because we don't.
Please let us know in the comments.
6 came out. This one was budgeted $160 million. So clearly they were happy with the success of Fast 5. They gave them an extra $35 million.
Yeah.
The opening weekend was $97 million, so only about $11 million higher. But that's domestically, right?
Yeah.
This movie made $238 million domestically over its run, so about $28 million more. Doesn't really justify the jump in budget. However, internationally, this movie made $789 million, $150 million total more than the previous.
Jeez.
This movie was another huge hit. But don't worry, it's not the last huge hit in this franchise.
Oh, gosh.
Fast and Furious 7 takes place, this is like significantly later. Or no, sorry, we're talking about Fast and Furious 6.
Yeah.
This one is a sequel to the last movie. And people have kind of moved on. People have separated. People are very rich, and so they're living in fabulous places around the world.
Yep.
Up until the moment where Luke Hobbs, our boy Dwayne The Rock Johnson, shows up to tell Dom that Letty is alive and that he needs Vin Diesel. He needs the team to help him take down Owen Shaw. Or Deckard. Wait, which is... No, Owen. Owen's the first one. Yeah. There's so many Shaws. Owen Shaw, who is a army mobility specialist for Britain. So he basically is like the military of driving cars, which is... It's only in one line in this movie, but it is the silliest line. And it's so they're like, he was like the top of the army mobility unit, and I was like, wait, he was
what?
The best driver the military had?
Yeah, I don't know how.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go with that. Yeah, this movie.
It's a film. I love this movie. It is so fun. It's also where things get. This is where things get the most ridiculous, right? Because I remember that Fast 5 left me on such a high. Fast 5, I was like, Fast and Furious might be one of the greatest franchises ever, right? That movie was so good. And then the first trailer comes out for this, and Letty gets flung off of a tank. Dom jumps off of a car, grabs Letty midair, and lands on a car on the other side of a giant bridge overpass thing. And the whole fast world just kind of went, what?
Yeah.
And they're okay? This is also the movie where the beginning of the... Or, no, that's the next one.
Yeah, I literally... We were sitting in bed watching this movie, and I just yelled. It's like, what?
This is the one where...
Kidding?
You said this is the one where they lost you a little bit.
They lost me. Yeah, for sure.
And that moment, like, you literally... You were so sucked out of the moment that you were like,
Yeah, because, like, honestly, the movie, I felt like... It was fine up until that point. I was like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going. And then that happened, and I was like, I'm out. Sorry, no, that's just a hard no for me. Also, it was that scene, definitely in general. It started with Shaw driving a tank down a highway and straight up blasting people into that, like, ridiculous moment. And I was like,
he's a bad person.
Okay, but then they bring him back later on.
Yeah.
Like, you can't...
They do that to a lot of bad people in this franchise.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that Gal Gadot was a bad person. Like, every character...
Okay, but she did not take a tank and, like, murder hundreds of people on a highway. I'm just saying that these are all criminals. Like, the only person in this movie who doesn't start out as a criminal, but he does become a criminal, is Brian and Hobbs. Yep.
But, like, all of these people are wanted internationally at some point. No one is good.
Nope. And, like, look, there are things that are redeemable. There are things that are forgivable.
Mm-hmm.
Mowing down rows of people in a tank is not one of those things.
I would not say that Owen Shaw has ever been redeemed. I would say that he is used one time because Deckard Shaw's mom made him. But even Deckard Shaw is like, he went too far, I can't trust him. And his mom is like, you've got to be a good brother, and you've got to take care of your brother, and you've got to take your brother on the deadly mission trip in the sky so that we can be a family again.
Wow, that accent was perfect.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually am sometimes Helen Mirren's voice double in films.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't...
Yes.
That makes sense.
Have you ever seen The King's Speech?
Jeez.
I don't know if she's in The King's Speech.
I don't think she is.
I have not seen The King's Speech.
That's Helena Bonham Carter.
I have seen every Fast and Furious film probably more than 7 times, but I have not seen The King's Speech.
Okay, well, that is just a crime. How dare... That movie is great.
I've heard it's great. I've literally never,
Yeah, you should work on that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was one that, like, it, like, won all the awards. I was like, I gotta see it. And then, like, I just didn't.
No, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna catch up.
Okay,
nerdy.
Where is Fast and Furious 6 on the list for you?
7.
So this is still higher than Tokyo Drift.
Than Tokyo Drift? Yeah, I said Tokyo Drift was last.
I know.
Yeah.
This is higher than Tokyo Drift for me as well, but I actually like this movie. I think it's fun.
They lost me so hard. And then it didn't get better with the whole thing with the plane.
The Never-Ending Runway?
Yeah.
Where we lose Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
She went on to better things.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not, like, it was sad, but I wasn't like, you ruined the movie by, having her die. I just mean, like, that scene in general was, like, just kept going and going. And I was like, it didn't make any sense.
This movie also rather famously included the moment of Gina Carano showing up. To fight Michelle Rodriguez.
Right.
Gina Carano, now formerly of the Star Wars universe.
Yay.
So that's fun. Cara Dune. Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Yep.
Yeah. Where does this one rank for me? It is.
What, you didn't write it down?
It's 6.
6. Okay.
No. It's 5. It is Fast and Furious 6, but it is 5th on the list for me.
On your list, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that is
I'm doing
fair.
well. It's 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we've done 1, which was 2. We've done 3, which never mind. That's if I start saying it that way, that's going to get so confusing for people listening to the podcast.
No. Yeah, that's a no.
All right. Next up was Furious 7. They don't go fast anymore. They're slow, but they're angry.
Yeah.
This movie was directed by James Wan. It came out in the spring of 2015. So the franchise at this point is 14 years old. It was budgeted at $190 million. Its opening weekend was $147 million, a $50 million jump from the previous film. Its domestic gross was $353 million. Its international gross worldwide was pretty good. It was $1.5 billion, a almost doubling of the international gross of the previous film. This movie made $1,180,000 at the international box office, while making $353 domestically.
Wow.
Yeah. Furious 7 is a massive Titanic hit. One of the all-time highest box office grossers in history. This movie made so much money. And it's pretty good.
Yeah. I think that, with Paul Walker's passing, I think that the movie also got a lot more attention from
I agree with that.
in a certain way.
We should mention that Paul Walker passed away before this came out.
I think that they do a really beautiful job actually of honoring that. But I have to say, from at this point, you said 2015. Never watched a Fast and Furious movie. Never even really heard of them. Like, kind of knew they were a thing. But because of Paul Walker's passing, the name Fast and Furious was everywhere. It was talked about all the time by everybody, and it definitely brought that franchise, I think, more to the forefront of people's minds. And everyone was really interested to see how they were going to handle this and what they were going to do, because it was this horrible tragedy.
Yeah, I also just think that, like, you're not very hot on Furious Fast 6, but people were. Like, the majority, I really enjoyed it when it came out, right? Like, I was very excited for the next movie in this franchise, especially because at the end of Fast 6, like, Letty gets her memories back, and, like, the soap opera outfit.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what happened with her and Dominic's. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
there was a lot. I do think that Paul Walker's passing definitely, and the way that the stars of this movie handled his passing, it was very public, and it was very cathartic, I think, in a way, the way that everyone came together and acknowledged how beloved this man was. But I just think that, like, there was a lot about this movie that, besides that was also, they had really positive momentum. This was a franchise that was on a roll, that people loved, that people were excited for. Kurt Russell was being brought in. Jason Statham was being brought in. Like, this cast is just constantly growing. And so I think it had a lot going for it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not saying that it was only because Paul Walker died that it did well, but I just wanted to, I did want to bring that up, because I think that
100%.
It all, it all goes towards
I
publicity.
Sobbed in the movie theater at the final scene when I first saw this. I was like among mostly men, a very, very heavily male audience in Times Square on opening night, openly weeping at the final sequence. And it was surprising to me, but it wasn't. Like, it was such a like group moment.
Yeah, it was honestly beautiful. Like, I have never seen anything else that Paul Walker has ever even been in.
Really?
In all honesty.
Oh, wow.
Like, he's not, like, someone who I am very familiar with or has ever made, like, an impact on my life. But how they handled everything in the movie was beautiful. And, like, I cried. Like, it was really well done. I think they did the best with a horrible, horrible situation. And I gotta commend them for that. And I think that definitely bumps up this movie in terms of ranking for me a little bit. Because the heart is there.
Yeah.
And it's palpable. And I think they did a great job. For me, Fast 7 ranks at number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, Fast 7 ranks at number 3. I think our top ones are mostly the same.
You know what?
We just flipped two.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, actually, I think 7 is 3.
Okay.
Actually, I think 7 is.
So we have
3.
our top 4 are the same then.
Are they the same? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it and talking about Fast 7.
Well, the Dubai, like, you can't talk about the one thing we didn't talk about this movie was the Dubai, or not Dubai. Is it Dubai? The building jump
so.
from building with the car.
Yeah.
That was like the most talked about advertisement campaign. Mm-hmm. What the hell was the car? Why is there a car between two buildings? Like, because they didn't really show a lot of it, right? They only showed parts of it. And I just like that on top of everything else, that moment is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's so absurd, but it's so fun. And like, it really is fantastic. And yeah, I just think the marketing campaign for this was excellent at the time. They did such a good job. And the money showed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that scene is absolutely absurd. And
So right now, in first place, we both have Fast 5.
Yep.
Then in second place, we both have the first movie. Mm-hmm. Then in third place, we both have Fast 7.
Yeah, I'm I'm torn.
There's only 2 movies left, so we're going to figure out the rest of our list and then we'll talk about it. The Fate of the Furious came up next. This is also known as F8, like F and then N8, because it was 8. F8. So they're still not very fast. They haven't been fast in a while, but they're still so angry. They're so mad. This movie came out in 2017. Its budget was between $250 and $270 million, which is another $60 million higher than the previous film. It grossed $98 million on its opening weekend, about $50 million less than the previous film. It grossed $225 million domestically, which was about $130 million less than the previous film. But despite that, it still grossed over $1 billion internationally, coming in at $1.2 billion. This movie made a lot of money. It was directed by F. Gary Gray, another fantastic director. Like, honestly, the directors in this franchise are amazing. And it introduced Charlize Theron as the villain Cypher, the international hacker lady with the cornrows or dreads or the hairstyle that was that was received very interestingly at the time.
Yeah, that's a choice.
I think that like it had something to do with, like, she is South African, and I think that it had something to do with like that.
Oh, I see. Her character.
Well, no, in real life, like, Charlize Theron is South African.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and so it I think it had some. I can't remember. There was some conversation about it online, as there always is about everything.
Right.
But yeah, she was born and raised in South Africa, I believe.
Did not know that.
And so yeah, this movie is
something. It's something.
Honestly,
wow.
I'm surprised I don't have it lower on the list, but there's just so much that I do love about it. Like, Christopher Hivju's in it.
Absolutely absurd.
Is this your least favorite?
Well, apart from 3.
Oh, this is 7 for you? Or sorry, this is number 8 for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is 8th. Only surpassed by Tokyo Drift, but like, wow, this movie made me angry. Nothing made sense. It was absolutely absurd. The God's Eye thing is, they handle it poorly. Nobody gets hurt. People can survive literally anything until they can't for dramatic effect, but then they can. So it's fine. And I
see, what bugs me about this movie is none of that. I don't care really about that. What bugs me about it is that I feel like they ruined Dom as a character. The storyline of him being willing to hurt so many people to save his son isn't justifiable to me. Like, just the sheer number of people, including his family, that are put in harm's way by his own actions.
Yeah.
It's just so absurd. Mm-hmm. And like, I get it. She has your baby. And like, that's so hard.
Yeah.
But I just can't imagine anyone being so doing one mission, right? Maybe. But when it gets to the point where like they're in New York City and just so many people are dying, because if you look at the carnage, so you're killing so many people, and like I just don't. it's really hard for me to buy that anyone would be willing to do that much damage for one person. And maybe that's just me. Maybe there are people out there like, no, my son, I would almost kill my wife to save my son.
I would happily murder hundreds of people if it meant my son lived. And I think that is a weak character choice, to be honest.
Yeah. And this is the first movie where you really feel the fact that Vin Diesel is like in charge of this franchise. Because here's the problem, right? Like, it kind of is fun for a while that they're spies when they started out as drag racers. But this movie, Cypher is literally like, there's only one person your team can't take out. You. And every time I hear that line, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
He's a drag racer from LA. What? Like, he can't he can barely use a computer. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's some like internet. If you told me like Deckard Shaw, I'd be like, yeah, the dude is scary as hell. The dude took down Vin Diesel's entire team, right? There are people who individually have been taken down by the entirety of Vin Diesel's team.
Yeah.
But like, he didn't take anyone down by himself. Mm-hmm. And then this movie, they introduced this idea that Dom is like the super soldier of this universe. And they're literally going to introduce a super soldier in the next movie. But in this one, they're pretending that Dominic Toretto has all these skills that I'm like, why?
Yeah, it's weird.
Why would he have these skills?
It's weird. Yeah, like, and it just seems like Vin Diesel was like, no, I have to seem cooler. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it kind of just gets more and more into that the more that we go on. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this Fast and Furious 8, honestly, I do not think is a very good movie. I think the best part of it was honestly Deckard and Dom's kid when.
Oh, the scene with the baby headphones?
Yeah, with the baby
adorable.
Headphones.
Amazing.
Great scene. Mm-hmm. Doesn't save the movie for me. It still ranks number 8.
There are some fun action sequences, like the zombie car scene. As much as it I think as it ruins Dom's character, visually it's amazing, right? Yeah. The zombie cars in New York. I also think the driving on the ice is fun. It's a fun sequence with the submarine. It's preposterous.
So ridiculous.
But I do enjoy that sequence from the first time I saw that movie in theaters, in the middle of that sequence, the fire alarm went off and I had to leave. And so I had to come back and watch the movie later. So I didn't know how this movie ended for 2.5 weeks because I was busy with work.
Right.
But there's fun stuff in this movie. I just think that from a character perspective, it's not very strong.
No, not at all.
This movie was the highest grossing opening weekend of all time until the release of Avengers Infinity War in 2018. Because not domestically, but it made $541 million in its opening weekend worldwide. Now, obviously, that doesn't really compare to an international number because that's only if you don't include the United States, I believe. No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's worldwide. Never mind. I take back everything I just said. I was thinking about something else that was wrong. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, this was the highest grossing worldwide opening weekend for I think a full year.
Wow.
Until Infinity War came out in 2018 and supplanted it in that place.
Infinity War surpassed it, or Endgame did?
Avengers Infinity War passed it.
Oh.
And then Endgame blew that out of water. Sure. Endgame destroyed everything, but no, Infinity War beat this first.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, that's an impressive number.
Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't as strong a movie, right? And so it had this huge opening weekend, but then it fell off really hard.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate for the franchise, but not really, because there's another movie and another movie, and there's going to be a movie after that one. So
yeah,
let's get into Fast and Furious Presents, because this is where they started to add the presents. Fast and Furious Presents. Who is Fast and Furious? Are they people? The presents makes it weird, right? Because usually when it's presents,
it's actually a cult.
Producer. It would be like Vin Diesel presents.
Yeah.
But instead it's Fast and Furious. No, it's the cult
in Fast and Furious. You can get indoctrinated.
I hate that the title is this. Just make the title Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, literally.
It's Vin Diesel and And look, it didn't make as much money, obviously, but it's Vin Diesel and Jason Statham versus Idris Elba. It was gonna make money. You didn't have to make the title so dumb to look at.
Yeah.
Hobbs and Shaw came out in 2019. Just a little bit before this pandemic we're all just loving to be a part of. The movie had a budget of $200 million. Its opening weekend was $60 million domestically, which was $38 million less than The Fate of the Furious. It was less than half, significantly less than half of what Furious 7 made. Its domestic total was $173 million, also significantly less. It was the lowest domestic total since the fourth movie.
Whoa.
And internationally, it made $760 million.
I mean, that's still great.
That was the lowest since the fifth movie. It passed this fifth movie by a bit. $760 million, not bad, but on a $200 million budget with the stars that you have, you're hoping to do better. They were also kind of hoping to launch a new franchise with Hobbs and Shaw, a spin-off franchise that could maybe have its own thing. There has been talk of Hobbs and Shaw 2. It doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know if it deserves a second one.
This movie also brought in David Leitch, who was one of the directors of the John Wick movie.
Oh, okay.
And so there is a heavier focus on hand-to-hand combat in this, which makes sense considering his proficiency in making movies with hand-to-hand combat.
Makes sense.
What did you think of Hobbs and Shaw?
I enjoyed it. I think its shortcomings are that it kind of drags.
It's long.
It feels so long, and like the first half of the movie and the second half of not the second half, but like
the Samoa section.
Yeah, they feel completely different.
The problem with this movie is really that, like, I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson really wanted to make the Samoa section.
For sure. And
But it's a different film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that section, but there needs to be more of it through the rest of the film, because it feels like a weird short film tacked onto the end, because they just feel completely like in separate worlds, and in a sense they are.
And what's weird
for a movie, that's really tough for a viewer.
What's weird is I think my favorite part of the movie is the Samoa section.
Yes.
I like the characters the most in that section. I like everyone that they introduce. I like that the characters are finally at a point where they're still like ragging on each other, but they're not being so obtuse to the fact that they have to work together by that point.
Like the what's fun about the first chunk of the movie is the pissing contest between Deckard and
Hobbs.
Hobbs
and Shaw. It's the title of the movie.
No, what's his first name?
Luke.
Okay. I was like Deckard because his first name, but it's between Hobbs and Shaw. Is what I should have said. Like they are very funny together.
Yep,
they really, really elevate the movie, and I loved the third Shaw. I think Lady Shaw is fantastic.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. I thought she was amazing
As Hattie.
I thoroughly enjoyed.
Name.
Yes, it is.
Also, Idris Elba is playing Brixton. Deckard, Hattie, and Brixton is
the most British. Just throw a Sherlock in there and you're good.
Yeah. Helen Mirren is Magdalene Shaw, also known as Queenie.
Makes sense. Yeah. So like there are things about it that I really do enjoy, but it's just long. But
this is its fourth for you.
Yes, this movie sits at number 4.
But it was at 3 before this conversation.
Yeah, it was at 3, and then I thought about it, and the heart that's in 7, I think is you can't match that, especially in light of everything that happened. And
I think that's what puts it. Honestly, like for me, I think that's what puts it over for me as well. Like my relationship with 7 is. I can't untie that from the experience of living through that like group moment with the audience watching the send off for Paul Walker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that moment for me was, I have loved this franchise since the very beginning, right? Like I have seen every single Fast and Furious movie the day that it has come out in theaters.
Yeah.
I really love these films, right? And even the films that I have problems with, 8 and 4 and 3, I I don't dislike them. They're just not my favorites. But 7, I can't untie the emotional journey of the lead up to this movie following Paul Walker's death from that film. Whereas like this film, there's a lot about this stuff that I like more than 7, right? But it doesn't have that. Like the heart of this movie is the comedy.
Yeah.
And you know, the cameos, like I think Kevin Hart and Ryan Reynolds have their cameos are incredible. And they make this franchise very different from the rest of the Fast and Furious franchise in a nice way.
Yeah.
And I think this movie's great. It's 4 for me as well.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I want a sequel to this really bad. I want a sequel that involves Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart more.
You want a Hobbs and Shaw sequel?
Oh yeah. I want that more than I want any more Fast and Furious movies. To me, Fast and Furious ended at the end of 7 for me.
Yeah, I get that. Actually,
I don't like.
I think if they want to continue with Fast and Furious, I think that going the Hobbs and Shaw route
or
is much better.
Or the like female led like team up movie that they've said that they were working on.
Yeah,
like,
give me more Lady Shaw. I will absolutely watch her in a movie.
Yeah.
Like,
but see, like she would be in the Hobbs and Shaw universe that they're moving forward with, and then they're doing like a one with
Letty?
I've said her, like a Letty-led franchise.
Okay, interesting.
Which is weird because I don't know how you divorce that character from Dom without literally divorcing them.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I would watch it, and if I liked it, I would like it, and if I didn't like it, I would, you know. But for me, I think that the Fast and the Furious really, really ended with 7 for me, and I enjoyed 8. And like I hope I like 9. You know, I'll go see it as soon as I can. You know, but the story that I really cared about ended.
Yeah.
And part of it is because they ended it so well. Like they put a bow on it, right? They wrapped it up like a present, and they put such a beautiful, crisp, like you paid someone to wrap that gift bow on it, and.
Yep.
So it's everything past that to me is like isn't headcanon. It's just fun, frivolous things that come out. And that could change if they put out a movie that was good enough to like feel like it drew me back in.
Yeah.
Because Fate of the Furious wasn't that. And it just didn't have what I wanted. And part of it's preposterous, and I'm kind of worried that Fast 9 won't, because it's going to be preposterous again.
Yeah, from what I've heard from the reviews
and the trailers, like honestly, like the jungle swing trailer sequence that I've seen so many times, just it doesn't look good. Like it's not even that it doesn't look plausible, but it looks like bad and unplausible, which is worse. Yeah,
unfortunately, I'm not really looking forward to Fast 9, especially with the way that I think the movies declined after 5. It's like physics don't exist, science does not work the same way, and it's for me, that is a thing that matters to me, unless you can give me a really good reason that it doesn't. I mean, I love magic, fantasy, sci-fi,
but this is supposed to take place in the real world.
Exactly.
Yeah. And everything up to 5 did, right? Like the vault sequence is a little pushing the boundaries. But in a way that,
but they earned it.
Yeah,
I felt.
And like I can buy that. Like there are supercars that like I don't understand, right?
Sure. I don't know anything about cars.
And that's really the tough part for me. Is like I love this franchise because it was its own thing, and the further they go into CGI stunts, the less it feels like its own thing. The more it kind of starts to feel like everything else. And. Yeah, I have the same problem with Marvel, right? Like I don't like the nanotech suits that just like grow on people, but are as strong as the suits were before. Because I'm like, you can either have in my mind, you can either have your suit be quick like that, and it's flimsy, or you have to go put it on, but it's pretty strong because it's armor, right?
Totally. Everything can't be perfect, the best version of it all the time without any like give. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel real.
The stakes start to disappear a little bit.
Yeah. And I am a little bit worried for Fast 9. We're gonna see it, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel.
So to recap our list, we both start with the same top 4. Fast 5, then Fast 1, then then Furious 7, then Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes.
And then things start to change, right?
Yes. Yeah. For me, number 5 was Fast and Furious 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which your number 5 was not. Your number 5 was
6. No. Yeah, it was 6.
I think it was 6. Yeah.
Yeah, because my bottom 4 are 6. God, it's hard to remember now. Are 6, then Tokyo Drift. No, 6, then
2.
3, then 2, then Tokyo Drift. Or 3, then 2, then 4.
3, then 2, then 4. No, you said 4.
Yeah.
You said 4 already.
Yeah, 4 was my bottom.
Oh, 4 is your least favorite. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah. Tokyo Drift, Too Fast, Too Furious, and then 4.
Yeah. Whereas my bottom 4 would be Fast and Furious 4.
There's going to be a graphic on screen for the people watching this on YouTube, so that'll be easier.
Thank you.
As we struggle to remember what we just said.
Fast and Furious 4, then Fast and Furious 2, then Fast Furious 6, then Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Where do you think 9 is going to fit on here from what you've seen so far?
From what I've seen and what I've heard, I feel like it's probably going to be around, 6 or 7 on my list. Because, like I said, Fast and Furious 6 is, 7th on my list because it just did not hold a candle to reality. and I don't love a lot of the character stuff. I didn't love the plane stuff. Like the further you get away from reality without the justification of it, you lose me. That's just how I enjoy movies.
Mm-hmm.
If I get pulled out of it by the absurdity, I stop enjoying it.
Yeah.
And that's a fine line to walk. And, I acknowledge that, but it's how I enjoy movies, and it is what it is.
I think this one, it's like when we watched the Snyder Cut. I think it's either going to be I don't think it could beat 5. Or Fast 1, right? So, I think that it's either going to be, between 3 and 4.
Okay.
Or it's going to be dead last.
Yeah.
But I really think, and honestly, I think that where I think it is in a week from now when we've seen it the first time and I'm excited about it because it's new, and versus where I think about it in a couple of years might be different.
Yeah.
But I do think that this one, I don't know. It's the most apprehensive I felt going into a Fast movie ever.
Yeah.
Is this one. And it's just because I think, we've done trailer reactions. I think in the trailer reactions, I'm hyped up because it's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. But when because I go back after our trailer reactions and I watch the trailers a few times, right? Because I get excited and I love trailers. I love the art of making trailers. And the more I watch these trailers, the more I'm like, what movie does this coalesce into? What could this... I'm genuinely a little worried that the magnets are going to be a little too magic and a little not magnets based on how I've seen them used.
Yeah, for sure.
Because every time, even the first trailer or the Super Bowl spot that we reacted to on the YouTube channel, and we were like, if a magnet was that strong, it would pull everything. It wouldn't just pull the car, it would pull
you can't pick and choose what metal
watches.
Objects you're grabbing. It's a magnet.
It's so I don't know. I'm a little worried that I'm a little worried I'm just gonna spend the whole movie being that's not how magnets work.
Yeah I have a feeling,
but I'm excited to see them go to space, so
I'm not. Yeah, it's gonna be, you know what, it'll be, I'm sure, visually cool to look at. And
then my final question for you. Mm-hmm. Will you rewatch all these movies again with me for Fast 10?
Oh my god, do I have to?
You don't have to do anything.
You're
my wife, not my prisoner.
I will rewatch some of them.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I will watch them all.
I know you will.
Oh, man.
This is fun.
This was fun. I'm excited. We're going to do this again soon for the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. That will not be coming out for Black Widow. Sorry.
No.
Black Widow will be on that list because it'll maybe be for Shang-Chi in September.
Yeah,
It takes a long time to watch all of these things.
Yeah, there's a lot of Marvel movies. So,
there's so many.
We're going to get on it.
I think it's going to also be all the TV shows, right? So we're going to have to rank Not and only the MCU Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
We're not doing like Agents of Shield and
Jesus. Yeah, no.
I could do that, but you would not want to. And also a lot of those things don't rank very high. Like Agents of Shield is tough because like some of the seasons are like incredible and some of the seasons are fine.
You cannot ever beat Jessica Jones season 1 ever in anything. It's the perfect series of television.
I don't disagree with that. Like I think this maybe isn't the place to have that conversation.
Sorry.
But Jessica Jones is great.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
No, I think we covered everything and
It was only an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine. Do
you think anyone watched the whole thing?
Maybe.
If you watch the whole thing, write purple banana in the comments below.
You are 10 out of 10 human. Purple banana. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Thanks for watching this video, guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Like always, you can follow us over on Twitch if you want to watch us play video games. That's over at twitch.tv/nerdynightly for me.
I'm over at twitch.tv/Claroos.
Come subscribe to the YouTube if you're watching there. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the dislike button if you dislike us. And leave mean comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. You can also, if you're listening to this as a podcast, if you're listening on Apple, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. It is the fastest, most beautiful, bestest way to help a podcast grow. It's like a garden. You got to tend it with some water, and the water in this case is 5-star reviews. Mm-hmm. You can write anything in those reviews, and eventually on one of our shows, probably the Nightly Morning Show, we will read them.
Yep.
As always, y'all, thank you so much. My name is Nerdy Nightly.
And I'm Claroos.
Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye, guys.